If you didn't know, Anna Walsh's Instagram is still public with evidence of her working out. Right here is something she sent about her working out, had hashtags and everything. So it's worth remembering, of course, the victim. We haven't had her there, and I wanted to definitely do that. We've had a little too much Brian, but it's worth remembering how much she focused on her health because the prosecution needs to drill that into the jury's head. Because remember, Brian's defense is she just died. Now, day 4 begins with talk of possible maxes on Brian Walshe's pleas. There's a big issue with this, right? Because the number he can get goes up if he did it while doing a life sentence felony. But the judge can't sentence him now because if she did and then he was found not guilty on this charge, it would be an illegal sentence and it's a whole issue. Then there's a big problem with the William Fastow emails that the defense still wants none in. If some come in, all of them come in, but the state wants to restrict them, and the defense is basically, it sounded to me like they were asking the judge for help on what to give. So she made a big showing of it, that she is not giving an advisory opinion. She read a statement for the record, cited case law, basically laid it out. Let me make sure I get this correctly here. The way she worded it, she wanted to make it very clear why these messages are coming in. The jury can infer that Brian saw the text due to his interviews where Brian said he saw messages people were leaving for Anna. And Brian Walshe said Anna sent a photo to William Fastow. Brian told the police that they could get the exact time the children went to bed by seeing when she texted William Fastow. Anna sends messages with confusion of the marriage, intimate relations with Fastow, future plans with him. So basically, it goes to state of mind that Brian is aware of. Brian would be aware of the victim's state of mind. That can be inferred by the jury. Now, remember, there's also talk of how she sent a photo that the judge inferred that a husband might not want to see his wife send to another man at the time that Brian says she sent him a photo to William Fastow. But the judge basically said that we can go through the emails and leave it open, and if someone wants to object, we can object in real time. So that's going to be a lot of objections, I would expect. But the state kind of wants to do redactions ahead of time, and the judge says we can do it in real time, but the state wants to give a whole bunch of redactions they have, and then basically the judge puts it off and says, sidebar when you're ready, because she wants to start with the jury. They call up William Fastow. He is a real estate broker. He met Anna Walshe helping her get a property. Anna owned the home, and he had never met Brian Walshe in person. He had contact with Anna Walshe after the home was sold. They were friends, then confidants, and then intimate relationship. They would share conversations about their lives and personal troubles. It became intimate soon after she moved to D.C. He was separated at the time from his wife, and he has children. They would go to dinner, bars, sailing, functions, fitness dates, health. This is fitness stuff behind me. Fitness dates, movies. Anna was very focused on staying in shape. Looking at her Instagram, that appears to be the case, I will say. He would see her 2 to 3 times a week. They would communicate daily with phone calls, text messages, and Instagram messages. Again, this is from Instagram. Just kind of tying it all together. They each used, as far as he's aware, one cell phone. She was a frequent Instagram poster. She maybe had a Facebook account. He commented on her posts using his account publicly. He never stayed overnight in the townhouse. She did overstay the night in his home. The house was fully furnished and had a home gym. Again, going for health. He never met her children. Her children were with the father because of his home confinement, which needed him to be the primary caregiver. A company wouldn't give her a policy on the new house due to Brian's felony. She was upset about not getting to live with her children. The judge gives an instruction about hearing Anna's state of mind. Anna didn't think she was in a position to be the mother the children deserved. Not being with the children was a point of contention for them. He starts to say Brian's attorney, and then there's a sidebar. He didn't keep his relationship with Anna a secret. His friends were aware. Her friends weren't. Anna felt it was important that when Brian hears about the relationship, he hears about it from her. This is putting it into the head of, did she come clean? Is that what happened? Did she tell Brian? And that's what set him off. We don't know. There's no way to know, right? The relationship became more serious around July of that year. She thought she could bring Brian and the children to DC after a favorable sentencing for his art fraud issues. But that was delayed due to investigations of, and then there's objections sustained. So Anna was sleeping with this man and of the opinion that Brian was going to be able to come down to DC. When that all seemed to not be happening, that's when things changed. William Fastow says he was seeing other people before that, and he stopped after that point. They began spending holidays together. They spent Thanksgiving together. They had a trip to Dublin, Ireland together, and they flew together and stayed until the 27th, and then Anna flew to Serbia to see her mother via Paris. We've already gone through this on prior days. Fastow returned to Washington. They had plans for Christmas Eve. They had dinner with friends. After dinner, they went back to his place and spent the night there together. Her flight was delayed or canceled the next day due to snow. It was on Christmas. He was getting custody of his kids, so she had to leave. Anna drove all the way back to Massachusetts. Anna told him that her and Brian had an argument about her not getting back until after that drive on Christmas Day. The biggest stressor to their marriage was Brian's inability to resolve his criminal case, meaning she couldn't bring her children to DC. Basically, the way it's being worded is that Brian is keeping her from her kids. It was holding up her life. Anna was the primary breadwinner, and one evening she noticed numerous charges Brian made on her credit card that was heated. Now I'm understanding why both sides were focusing on that Chase stuff. It was sports memorabilia for some sports memorabilia business. Doesn't get expanded on. Him and Anna had a plan to celebrate New Year's together. This is William Fastow and Anya, but they were going to do it on the 4th. They were wanting to do a trip to New York, but he couldn't commit yet. He just made a trip to Idaho with his kids. He can't be sure he's going to be out of the office that much. They communicated through text message and Instagram private messages, and he voluntarily provided the text messages to the Commonwealth. Then we get a sidebar. Then we get the jury on break. And it sounds like that the prosecution has a list of redactions they want to do. They're going to see if the defense will agree. This is a long break. I was not going to actually do this part as a separate segment, but the break is so long, I did it. And it was so long that I ended up looking up Anna's Instagram, where you can find out that she posts a lot of pictures of herself doing fitness, photos with her friends, doing things. I will say, at least to me, it does feel like she didn't really post a lot of Brian. But, I mean, a lot of people don't on their Instagram. They post themselves and their kids, and so you can't really read too much into that. Just letting you know, it's public. If you want to see it, it's there. You can go and view it yourself. We are back, and there is no agreement between the two sides on the text messages, because they're leaving it up to the judge. The judge asked for page numbers, but the state has removed full pages and renumbered things. They got to approach, which means at this time, we don't get to hear the details they are arguing about. They bring William Fastow in after this sidebar, and they bring in the jury. They hand the witness the text messages he provided between himself and Anna Walshe, 43 pages worth. William Fastow gave the printout to the police. Anna is in gray, his are in blue. They text some pictures in this. On page 40, there is a photo they want to have him verify, and it is a photo of a toothbrush that Anna gave to him that he packed to go to Idaho that says Cohasset Dental. Not the type of photo we were going to have talked about, I thought. The next text messages, some of the text messages do discuss intimacy. They don't get read to us, but it's there. They discuss a trip to Dublin. They also receive photos from Anna. One of them is her son showing something that he made her. It's a necklace. There's talk of the photo being blurred by the court's instructions to the jury, as well are given after the judge checks it that it's blurred, and they explain to the jury that it's blurred because it doesn't matter to you. What are they blurring? The child's face, but also, I noticed later, Anna's face. They're blurring her face. The jury doesn't get to see what she looks like, I guess. At least for these photos. which is weird because they allowed a photo in, including her face, when it was the rug. I'm just confused why now we're blurring it, but I guess the important part of the photo isn't supposed to be her, it's supposed to be the items in the photo. She also sent him a photo on New Year's Eve. It's of Anna, a mutual friend, and the child. This one still needs redacted. He left Idaho the morning of January 4th. The plan was, or it's kind of weird. It sounds like he says he meant to leave the 3rd, left the 4th, or he got back on the 4th. Either way, he's back in DC on the 4th. The plan was to celebrate with Anna, have dinner on the 4th, and discuss their 1, 5, and 10-year plans, how merging families would look. But Anna said she needed to figure out things with Brian. That was her major hangup. Anna didn't make the dinner. He got a Happy New Year's message from Anna on New Year's. The next day, he sent her a photo of his child learning how to ski, a waving hand emoji, a question mark, and then no response for multiple days. He tried calling her, no response. He tried a landline, thinking maybe she blocked him. No response, he was concerned. Then he got a call from Brian on January 4th, but he did not answer and let it go to voicemail. He was concerned Brian found out about them and was going to confront him. Brian didn't leave a voicemail, but then Brian called again. The second time he left a voicemail, and this is submitted, they play it, and it's Brian asking about Anna not being in touch for a few days and asking if anyone they knew had contacted her. The witness says he immediately called Brian back, told Brian he's concerned. They discussed her being missing since New Year's Day. William happened to be near her house, offered to check it, stopped by. Brian gave him the garage code. He got in. There's no car in the garage, no sign of her. He also called Brian back to tell him that, and he personally came back later in the day looking for her. They show a Gucci necklace that Anna wears. He recognizes the watch. He thinks she's wearing her engagement ring. Again, they blur Anna's face in this photo, and he hasn't seen Anna Walshe since December 25th, 2022. And the state is done. I am honestly a bit shocked because there was something, a photo from what they were saying, that the husband wouldn't want being sent, right? Why is that not in from the state already? If the state is going with he's a jealous husband who found out, I mean, they're submitting the photos as exhibits, right? Like they're doing that. Does that mean the jury would still get to see that photo because it's in the text messages, or will the text messages not include the photos unless they're submitted? I don't know how this works. Maybe they just don't want the public to know what she sent him. But I was rather confused. The defense is up. And the witness says he met Anna through a mutual friend in real estate business. Brian Walshe FaceTimed to show the property before she bought it. He explains what he meant by him being her confidant. They both discussed personal troubles. William Fastow was separated and Anna had Brian's legal troubles. Brian and Anna had an argument about money. William had argued with his wife about money. Anna and Brian argued about her being late on Christmas. They used private messages. He wasn't posting intimate messages on her public pages. They're just explaining that. His comments publicly weren't flirtatious. She did tag William in a photo of a yoga event. They became intimate quickly after her move to DC. Brian called him one day. They were out to dinner and he showed the phone to Anna. Later, Brian claimed one of the kids called him on accident, and that was the closest he ever had a concern that Brian found out. Anna never texted or called him that she felt Brian knew they were having an affair. The defense is trying really hard to lay it out that, look, Brian had no idea. His friends, other than Jim, weren't connected to Brian. He doesn't know if he told Anna about it. He doesn't know if he told Jim about his relationship with Anna before she disappeared. But Jim found out, of course, after. Everyone's going to find out after. There was no specific plan for Anna to tell Brian about the relationship on New Year's. The defense asked if he reviewed his grand jury testimony, and because he was like that he was aware of, is what he added at the end. And they make sure it's very clear in the grand jury testimony. He said there was no plan. She never said she would blow up her marriage while home for him on New Year's. He never turned over any of his Facebook messages to police. He doesn't remember going to dinner with Anna and Alyssa Kirby or Alyssa Kirby going to bars. Nobody at the other events they did knew Brian. He did go to an event at Anna's company in a professional capacity. Anna spoke to him about Brian's federal case. The plan was for Brian to move to DC with the kids and her. He doesn't know Anna's work hours. She might have to go in early some days, and at this point, there's like a problem from the state, and there's a morning break, it's called, and the defense basically has to lay out the foundation of how he would know some of these things. Brian Walshe is actually smiling as they chain him up, talking to his attorney. I don't know why. Maybe somewhere there was an agreement, or they convinced the judge to not allow in whatever she sent that night that he was referencing, and maybe that's a big win for them. But I guess we wait. I'm just confused. I mean, I guess the jury's going to get all the messages, right? So I guess they don't need to like read them to us, but I would think they'd want to highlight like more than they did. Like more of here's where they planned this, here's where they met up for this, here's what, like, none of that really got focused on, and that's where I'm really confused. Um and I'm confused more because I feel like maybe the prosecution should go a little harder into it for like jealousy stuff, but I guess we'll see. We are back and the jury is brought in. They want to talk about the conversations Anna had with him that she would want Brian to find out from her. It would upset her if Brian found out another way. It would devastate her. They had conversations about a future, but never had concrete conversations about when that would happen. They asked William if he was in no position to openly start a relationship with another person. That's a little, He is quiet for a bit and said, if you mean I hadn't finalized my divorce, that's correct. And they said, no, you weren't in a position because your older son would have been devastated if you started bringing another woman around. And he says, yes, I did say that. He turned over messages from December 29th, 2022 to January 5th, 2023. They quote William, he can't imagine me with someone else. Like all children of separated parents, he deeply wants us to reconcile. Introducing him to someone else would destroy that fantasy. It would crush him now. That was sent around Christmas time and New Year's. He didn't have plans to openly date Anna in front of his boys. He knew it was a possibility Anna would stay with Brian. She cared deeply for Brian. She wanted people to see Brian in the light that she saw him. The police asked if he had any information if Brian Walshe had discovered their affair, and he would turn over helpful information if he found it, but he never turned over Facebook. He doesn't recall if he used Facebook Messenger to send sexy or intimate messages to Anna Walshe. He routinely deletes messages on all his platforms. He deletes things he sent to Anna that he found embarrassing, so he deleted them so he wouldn't see them. You can just tell us you deleted your own dick pics because you didn't want to see them when you scrolled through. Just, he can step down. So that's what we got from the text messages. That's a lot less than I think everyone was expecting, because it really felt like they were going to be introducing some amazing photo evidence that would definitely show that it was whatever Brian Walshe knew that Anna had sent him would be so bad, and we didn't get whatever that would have been brought up at all. Christopher Murphy is up. He works construction. He worked at a painting company at the time. He was doing some cold calling for a special in January at that time. He reached out to Brian Walshe, didn't need any work done, talked to Brian Walshe actually on another day though. Brian called him and he received a text from Brian too. They submit photos of the phone itself with the messages showing. It's the holes in Brian's ceiling. It's January 6th with Brian asking about the ceiling. So that is interesting. Because if the defense is going with, well, the holes in the ceiling were unrelated, then why did it only happen after her disappearance? I don't know. Like, they found some insulation with the stuff in the garbage, right? And the defense had put forward that maybe there was insulation in the basement, but there also could have been insulation in the attic. So I don't know, is it worse one way or another where he stored the body? And next up is Susan Garland. She is a she does bar classes. I'm gonna call it a gym. She owns the gym that Anna Walshe went to. She knew Anna before owning it. They used to take classes at the gym before she bought it. She shows Anna's membership plan. Hers was unlimited at one point. Remember, this is all going to be brought up because it's to fight the idea that she's secretly ill and just suddenly died. Members are asked about their health and have to sign off they are healthy enough for classes. Anna would come whenever she's in town. In December, she was paying for drop-in classes. She kept her emails with Anna. They have emails of Anna asking if they considered opening one of the studios in DC, talk of a special they're having at the studio, and they also have class registration logs. She was in the class December 31st and attended it. Cross is up. Anna was asked to convert her membership because she would be in the area more. Anna signed that she conferred with her doctor, but there's not double checked or anything, right? Last time September was 2021, and it's self-reporting. So they're basically saying, sure, she said she's healthy, but you didn't prove it. Ashley Criminio, or I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, Seminio, instructor at the gym, special education instructor, knows her because she has bar credentials, as in the gym. She saw Anna at a Celtics game before where she worked as a dancer. She starts talking about how a warm person Anna was. There's an objection, but the answer stands. They're told to move on. She met Brian Walshe once or twice. She worked on December 31st, 2022, teaching the class Anna was in. It was actually her first day teaching at that location. Anna was about 10 minutes late. They exercised all their muscles to exhaustion and they stretched them. They explained how the whole bar class works. Anna was a powerhouse during the class. She made everyone work harder. She saw no injuries, and Anna didn't mention any. She chatted with Anna, but had to stop early due to a class coming in soon, next class. Anna was excited to see her and would be at more of the classes and wanted to know her schedule. She last spoke to the prosecutor in August or September. She's a special education teacher and a mom, but she's not a medical professional. She doesn't know about undiagnosed issues Anna might have had. She hadn't seen Anna for over a year before December 31st due to COVID. Next up is Janet Cotter. Yeah, this was an interesting one. She reached out to the police January 2023. She had an interaction with Anna at a nail salon, and then she didn't. They talk about like just how she like spoke to her at the nail salon. She didn't actually know Anna. The interaction was on New Year's Eve, and they were sitting side by side. They had a conversation. Anna was friendly, open, warm. She was wearing yoga pants and a yoga top. So it's gonna probably be after the probably gonna get your nails and stuff done after, right? So after the class. She said she was employed in commercial real estate in Washington, explained she lived in 2 locations, she had 3 sons, and her husband was helpful with them. She was entertaining for New Year's. New Year's Day, she was going to go to a special dinner in Marblehead with her husband. They talked for maybe 15, 20 minutes. They were getting a pedicure, and she saw no injuries on Anna. I don't understand the point of this one speaking, except maybe to say that Anna's toes weren't damaged. Like, I don't think either side is argue. I mean, the jury doesn't know about his pleas still, but I don't think either side is arguing that he didn't kill. No, he didn't. He didn't dismember her, right? So obviously she didn't get to go to anything. Julie Bassler is up. She works for a daycare. Anna's boys were enrolled. She says September 2022. We'll get to that. It'll get fixed in a bit. The oldest went to a public school, and 2 kids went to the daycare 5 days a week. Brian Walshe, or Brian Walshe's mom, would drop them off. She saw Anna sometimes to pick her up. Her and Brian spoke of the kids leaving for Washington. It was in the works. She wanted to know so they could fill the space at the daycare. In January of 2023, he dropped the kids off twice, 3rd and 4th. It felt a little different with like no conversations. The defense is already up. It's a daycare, middle of high end, low end. It's a little high end. There's a wait list for enrollment. 2 of the boys came 5 days a week. She doesn't remember the date they enrolled. They gave her a transcript, and it was actually in June of 2022. Remember, she said September, but that got corrected. They came 5 days a week. Brian did drop off and pick up. Sometimes he would see Anna on Friday, sometimes Thursday. The demeanor in January was different. Other mornings he was friendly. This just seemed different. The daycare provides lunch. Parents provide diaper, change of clothes. Kids would sometimes do art for the parents, and there were no issues with the boys. I have to say, Brian has the weirdest house arrest I've ever heard of. I mean, he's not actually taking care of the kids, right? He's shipping them off to either school or a daycare. School makes sense, but he doesn't really need the daycare when you're a stay-at-home dad, and the breadwinner is your wife. He's free enough to go out and about and buy tons of cleaning supplies and then hide a body. Weirdest house arrest. Um, Sandra Hempel Waldrop is up. She works at the Claremont apartment complex, general manager. They have surveillance cameras. She reviewed the videos. She recognizes the drive they're showing, the driveway. The videos are from January 3rd, 2023. They show the entrance. The video says 4:30 p.m., but the time on the videos is sometimes a little off. This is not a resident's vehicle driving. They show more videos of it driving around, including near a dumpster. It looks like someone walks into the dumpster and walks out. There's only one way into the property. Defense is up. There's no signage when dumpsters will be picked up. Prosecutors back up. They get her to say that trash is picked up 3 times a week. Trooper Connor Keefe is up. Digital analyst. They got through his certifications. It's long. On the 5th, he went to the Cohasset Police Department to analyze Verizon cell phone records with Anna Walshe. They explain what a phone ping is. Verizon can provide estimated distance from a cell tower site. The phone records are into evidence. They have January 1st to January 5th records submitted. He explains what all the numbers on the screen means. They're not even shown on the stream, but he explains them. A lot of talking what the records are, what they mean. It sounds like it's something a jury's not really going to be able to understand, to be honest. A lot of talking, and then finally we hear that Anna's phone interacted with a tower on January 2nd, 2023. Mind you, the stories are she died on the 1st, her phone's interacting on the 2nd. At 3:14 a.m., he gives the area the data suggests it was in relation to the tower. I believe that this was near the residence, from the way he said it, but they don't show an overview, so it's like, I don't know. They move on to subscriber data and explains how that works, and then they break for lunch. I really hope they have like an aerial overview compared with like what he says for the jury and for me. But very technical this one is. It's a lot of technical stuff just to basically say her phone pinged probably once on the 2nd, meaning someone did something with it to make it ping. Maybe we'll get more of that after lunch. We are back in session. The last time the estimated distance was given was 3:14 a.m. January 2nd. The phone had other interactions with the Verizon network at 8:31 a.m. January 2nd without an estimated distance. The very final activity was January 4th at 4:14 a.m., but the network couldn't connect. The day after getting the data, he got 3 devices, iPhone 13 mini, iPad 6, iPad 6 mini. He then began extractions. They had to be done one at a time. He finished it before lunch on the 7th and then returned to Brian Walshe. He got the actual devices back, as we learned. This was the raw data. Then they had to use Cellbrite to make it readable. It was readable by late afternoon on the 7th. The data from the Mini and the SE were extracted again on the 9th. He explains native location data. This is location data from the device itself, which is more accurate. The data is brought in, and there's an issue with the numbering of the exhibits that gets cleared up. They go through the iPhone 13 location data. It gives a Google Earth file. Thank you. This is going to be so much better for the jury and me, which makes it readable. They had 40 to 50,000 points of data from the phones. The name of the account holder is Diana Walshe. Judge brings counsel to bench. iPhone 13 mini was in the area near where Diana Walshe lives on January 5th. It was stationary near a large trash compactor. He doesn't believe it went into the buildings. On December 27, 2022, it was in another general area around the same building. He's looking at the data on the 8th or the 9th when he sees this. He alerted his supervisors it was near a dumpster. He created a PowerPoint presentation where the phones went using the data, and the judge calls counsel to bench. There's actually an error with PowerPoint. They have the phone number mixed up. That gets straightened out. They show the maps. They show him at the Vinnon Square Apartments January 1st at 5:07 p.m. Then he's at Lowe's Home Improvement 5:41 p.m. 6:24 at CVS. Basically what you're going to get about this is he's a busy boy. 6:53 p.m. he's at a Stop and Shop. 8:08 a different Stop and Shop. 8:31 he's now at his home. January 2nd, 9:30 a.m. Home Goods, TJ Maxx. 4:51 Home Depot. 5:14 p.m. by a Steak Shack. Guess I got hungry. 6 p.m. Stop and Shop. 6:13 p.m. Walgreens. January 3rd, 4:30 p.m. at the Claremont Apartments. 4:48 p.m. at Point Apartments. 5:14 p.m. at the Chatham West Apartments. Notice that there's no real reason for it to be going there, right? January 4th at 9:44 a.m. at home, and then a TJ Maxx parking lot. No, that was at a Home Goods and TJ Maxx parking lot. 12:47 p.m. at a Walgreens. Then at 4:25 he's at Lowe's. Then January 5th he's at the Landing at Vinwin Square Apartments by the trash compactor. So on the January 5th he's still going to trash compactors. He explains how they verified the native location data using things like license plate readers, did a report of the search history of the iPhone 13 mini. These are the exact terms on Safari. So all of that stuff where the defense is like, well, maybe it got changed or whatever. No, these are going to be the exact words. He created a report on it. They show him the report. Search history goes back to December 25th. Web history goes to the 31st. State wants to submit. Judge calls him to a bench. And then we get back and he gets to explain how this data is displayed. They ask him about an entry on December 25th, 2022 at 11:52 a.m. Check a flight JetBlue. I'm going to be honest. Right before he gave out what this was, I got pulled away. I thought I was about to hear a bombshell. A little bit let down when I got back, but that didn't last long. He explains the users input this information themselves. So that was basically a test run to make sure the jury understood what they were looking at. Then we get December 25th at 12:09 p.m. and the value is William Fastow, DC Real Estate. December 25th, 12:22 p.m. Anna Walshe, Tishman Spear. I'm trying to pronounce that, her employer. December 25th at 12:28 p.m. Christmas Day plane crash. December 25th, 12:31 p.m. Jeff Chad Tishman Spear. December 25th, 12:45 p.m. Anna Walshe found dead. Why is he Googling his wife found dead on Christmas? The only guess, spoiler, the defense doesn't speak today. The only guess I can come up with is for this witness. My guess is that maybe they're going to say that this is when she hadn't made it back yet. But then why Christmas Day plane crash? And William Fastow, it's weird. At 12:46 p.m., same day, he searched Jeff Chad, I think it was. December 25th at 8:28 p.m., Audubon. December 27th, 6:57. All my exes. Scrolling down, he does eventually fill out the search. All my exes live in Texas. December 29th, 9:15 p.m., Mazda Building. December 29th at 9:15 p.m., the Crossing Building, Washington, D.C. January 2nd, 6:42 p.m., I'm good. Which I looked it up is like another, maybe it's a song reference. He did a song reference before, right? January 3rd, 11:25 a.m., Washington, D.C. Police. January 3rd, 7:23 p.m., how to file a missing persons report. January 3rd, 7:23 p.m., Washington, D.C. Police Department. Remember, he didn't make these calls on the 3rd. January 4th, 10:11 a.m., the Crossing, Washington. January 4th, 10:14 p.m., Mazda Building, Washington, D.C. January 4th, 10:15 a.m., Jeff Char Tishman. January 4th, 10:46 a.m., William Fastow, followed by a different spelling of his name. January 4th at 1:26 p.m. is a search on Apple Maps. And January 4th, 2:49 p.m., I'm good, which again is probably a song reference. He looks at a casino webpage December 31st at 9:28 a.m., and he's looking at MGM Resorts After, which is, casinos. He got to look at text messages on the iPhone 13 mini, and he made reports on chats broken out by number. I won't be reading all these chats exactly, unless they're super important, but I do want to get the points across. There's a lot here. A lot of time was dedicated to these chats. They begin with one that I think is basically just to prove how this works, prove that it's accurate. He identifies the chat to paint. It's the text we saw earlier for the painter. And it has Brian Walshe then calling a hospital and them not saying he called a hospital and them not having Anna. The response was sent to someone telling Brian the police are taking over. Brian responds saying private investigator wanted to know if Anna had any vacation days this week and praising Teresa. I'm doing this Teresa on the phone. And Brian texted again asking if they had personnel at the Moz building. I will say that maybe it's better in person looking at it in the actual case, but they just throw a bunch of numbers around and don't say the contact it's associated with. And I think that's confusing for me as a viewer. Maybe it's better in person for the jury when they have something to see and they can have like notes written down. I don't know. Next is messages to an Alyssa, text to Brian, thanking Brian and wishing him a happy new year. Brian responds asking if she'd heard from Anna. Response, she texted with Anna on New Year's Day and that the woman is sick, not Anna, this woman he's calling. Brian responds to let her know if she calls. One side asks if they heard from her, and the other side says now the work that her work is looking. Viber is another messaging app. This is one of those that's going to be talked about next. It's from Viber. This is to an Alexandra. Happy New Year. Have you heard from Anna? She's been out of contact more than normal. A response comes in that they haven't, and that was on December 31st. They haven't heard from her since December 31st. The text had come out on the 31st. Brian said she had to leave early, and he didn't have his phone because one of his sons hid it in the bed. She'd been out of contact this long. So he's using the fact that he didn't have his phone as an excuse, but he had another phone, right? The response is saying she will let Brian know when I speak to her. Brian responds, no communication for almost days. One side asks if she isn't at work tomorrow. What are you going to do? Response is to contact everyone she knows in DC and file missing persons. Then they can't find her at work, and the person tells Brian, I think you need to report this ASAP. Next is a text message involving 3 numbers. This involves Jem and Anna, and it says new number with like the number sign. Jem is Anna's former boss who was there on New Year's. I looked it up to make sure I got that right. First message is a picture with the words, I love my necklace, read January 2nd, 2023. Jem responds, last night was so good. A message that says, the chef, world-class company, equally so. That's praising Brian. Brian was cooking, if you don't remember. On another page, looking good, buddy. Thomas just found my phone. Another New Year's Eve together as a triumvirate. A text that says, my new necklace made a big splash yesterday. I wore it everywhere. I got double takes in the street and at Whole Foods in Swampscott. They bring the witness to another text thread. This one is between Jem and Brian. Merry Xmas to you, buddy. I miss you. Merry Xmas to all. December 25th, 9:45 a.m. is when it was read. Brian responds January 4th. Her phone is going directly to voicemail. And he says this on January 4th. Again, the next text, any news? Have you alerted everybody, the DC police? Hey, buddy, can you send the photos taken on New Year's Eve? Responses, all photos were taken on Anna's phone. I don't have any. There's a sidebar, and he says he'll show it to the witness, but it's not being put into evidence yet, and it's a text message report. The contact is Brian Walshe, and the other is Anna New. But then there's an issue with the publishing, and it doesn't get published yet. So this might come in tomorrow. Maybe they're not sure how to do it. Maybe they need to have more foundation. The judge had an issue with it. I don't know, but they just moved past it. Maybe the judge hasn't decided yet. I don't know. Next is a call log report exported from the iPhone 13 mini, 12/25 to January 3rd. This appears to be calls between Brian and Anna's phone. He explains that these records work. Outgoing call 12:25 at 11:52 a.m. for 33 seconds. Another call at 1:40 p.m. for 1 hour and 22 minutes and 33 seconds. Incoming call 1 hour 27 minutes at 4:11 p.m. So they're talking a lot. Outgoing call again December 1st at 3:52 a.m. for 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Incoming call December 31st at 7:27 p.m. for 0 seconds. Maybe an accidental call? Another call January 3rd, outgoing at 8:28 a.m. This is a 15-second call, and they make clear to say it's probably voicemail. So Brian didn't message on his phone between the 31st and that time on the 3rd. So it sounds like a performative call. Then there's a sidebar, the jury leaves, and we end for the day. Now remember, Friday is supposed to end early, so if you're going to watch, it's a short day. It'll be from 9 to 1 p.m. That's what the judge says. We'll see about that. I know it's a little confusing at the end there, but honestly, the way it was presented in court, in my opinion, was pretty bad. As like a viewer from online, again, it might be better for the jury itself, but I'm one of those people where like you can't just throw the last 4 digits around and expect everyone to keep up with it. But it is what it is. I'm still kind of amazed we didn't get whatever this supposed photo was that you wouldn't want your wife sending to a man. I don't know how that didn't make it in. Maybe it will. Somehow, I don't know. It didn't, maybe not. It didn't come in with the last detective, so I don't know. And they didn't ask William Fastow about it. I will say that the messages he sent on Christmas are going to be really, really, really hard for the defense, because a lot of the ways he searches things seems to be whatever pops into his head, right? We've seen his search results. Why was he thinking about her being dead on Christmas Day? And then listen to a bunch of music about your exes.